People better buckle up because what's coming in the next 12 days could change everything. November 1st, that's when the world hits a big bang moment, a reset that will reshape the global order for decades to come. We're talking about the dollar losing dominance, gold stepping up as the world's backbone, and the defining question of our time. Can China's Communist Party and Trump's America First movement find some kind of common ground at all? Or are we heading towards an open kinetic conflict with China? War. It all comes down to the Trump-Xi Jinping summit on November 1st, 12 days from now, and the stakes literally couldn't be higher. Over these next 12 days, here on our channel, we're going to break down how both sides are shaping the global narrative and what it means for you, because what's happening will ripple through every investment market, every economy, every household, and it's going to affect all of us.
I have a very good relationship with President Xi, and we're going to see what happens. But, you know, for years we were taken advantage of by China very badly. We were losing hundreds of billions of dollars a year to China. We really built their military, if you think about it. The kind of money that presidents allowed to be lost to China was just insane.
I always try to focus on preparation and education, trying to help you spot the opportunities that come out of global chaos. I'm a glass half full kind of guy, and 2025 has already shown us how massive these opportunities can be. We've seen together how gold, silver, as well as mining stocks have surged, skyrocketed in 2025. And today I'm going to show you now what I consider to be my number one no holds barred new idea for the coming decade, because it follows all of the riots, unrest, security threats, and tragedies that we've witnessed as both our country and many other countries are going through revolutions right now. I'm really calling this shift the Great Reserve Realignment, from dollar debt right now to hard metals, because the coming Trump-Xi Jinping standoff is the pinnacle of a half century of U.S. dollar supremacy, which is now collapsing. I mean, it is the world's reserve currency, but for how much longer? We are entering an era that none of us had ever lived through before. None of us. For 50 years, the dollar treasury complex was the backbone of global finance. That system is now breaking apart in real time. Central banks around the world are pulling back from U.S. debt, flooding into physical gold. And it's not a passing trend, it's policy. We've seen gold's incredible ascent, just as I predicted, and we've detailed here on the channel. We're seeing foreign central banks stopping the recycling of U.S. trade surpluses into U.S. bills and bonds, and ceasing this lubrication of globalization. It's grinding to a halt, and they're stopping to subsidize American deficits. They're done. This is a monumental shift, guys. And you can see it in two data streams that I've been studying over the past few weeks. Number one, a multi-year downdrift in foreign official appetite for U.S. government paper. They don't want U.S. treasuries. It's all being led by China. And number two, an unprecedented, sort of persistent bid for physical gold by central banks. I know it seemed like cute at first. Oh, all these central banks are buying gold. Yeah, that's just a fun thing. Now gold's over $4,300 an ounce. They're dumping U.S. treasuries, and all of these central banks around the world are buying up as much gold as they can. This isn't cute anymore. Why are these two things happening? Well, because three big shocks changed everything that I want to go over right now. Number one, the weaponization of reserves. When the West suddenly froze Russia's assets in 2022, it sent shockwaves. It made sanction risk very real. In multiple countries, not just Russia, Biden and the EU's sanctions really screwed over all of us. Never before have we seen something like this. We're going to steal your money? Okay, and then we're going to give it to Ukraine? Number two, you have dead math right now. The math is stunning. China's U.S. Treasury holdings are now at their lowest since 2009. They're hoarding gold instead and dumping U.S. Treasuries. And number three, a fractured trade system. Beijing is pushing for a gold-anchored yuan system to reduce dollar friction and build its own reserve network around the world. Beijing anticipated this environment, and they are pushing yuan usage and gold-linked plumbing to sort of cushion this dollar friction and transition in their country.
So let's begin with how much gold you think China actually has.
Yeah, China has been understating its gold reserves by possibly a factor of 10. And I believe this is the biggest story in world finance. I've been arguing that this is a huge, huge story for many years. I've been tracking it along with a couple of other gold analysts out there. And the West is just asleep at the wheel, or they're ignoring it, or it's just one of these stories. It's so huge that it's easier just to leave it to somebody else further down the road.
The dollar treasury system isn't over yet, because people will be like, oh, the dollar's not dead yet. Yet, exactly, yet is the correct word. But the mix is changing right in front of our eyes in real time. Listen to this data that I've been going over. It's stunning. Central banks bought over 1,000 tons of gold in 2024, the third year in a row. China's central bank has now been buying for 11 straight months. Poland, their gold reserves just passed the European Central Bank's own holdings. In June, the Shanghai Gold Exchange opened its first offshore certified gold bullion vault in Hong Kong, and then launched new yuan-denominated gold contracts. This isn't just optics, it's reserve plumbing that now allows non-dollar physical settlement and storage. And Beijing is inviting friendly central banks to just go and buy and store gold bullion, pulling foreign official reserves into China's orbit. So now those reserves sit in China. And many nations are now repatriating their gold bullion, bringing it home, getting it away from foreign countries. The idea of the multipolar order is here, and protecting themselves against future sanctions. I mean, Russia learned its lesson. So it's about building a parallel rail right now that becomes harder to sanction, more attractive as tariffs and geopolitical frictions suddenly multiply. And in such a world, central banks do not have to choose one system. They can hedge with gold, and they can transact through multiple pipes, multipolarity. This isn't a theory. This is a total global pivot towards a multipolar, gold-anchored world. None of us have lived through this, guys. This is away from US dollars. You know, maybe Grandpa sitting there in a rocking chair who's 95 years old could talk about a time when we saw something similar, but none of you watching right now have lived through this. None of us. This is all away from US dollars. And it's all converging on November 1st. The Trump-Xi Jinping showdown. It's like Gary Cooper and High Noon kind of stuff. It's about to get very real. Trump's America is rebuilding its industrial base. You're seeing Apple and others building massive manufacturing in the United States. Sure, a lot of it is AI warehouses and server farms and all of this kind of stuff. But still, that's coming home now, using tariffs, and they're reshoring as tools of sovereignty in the United States. Beijing is doing the same thing, building alternatives to the dollar system. What we're witnessing is nothing short of a fight over the next world reserve structure. The U.S. has embraced reciprocal tariffs and strategic industrial policy. That shifts the terms of trade. It raises the premium on secure supply. It nudges these reserve managers to suddenly diversify. Beijing now sees the shift as durable U.S. statecraft, not a passing political spasm that like Trump just woke up and did one day and then he's going to reverse it. No. This is like permanent. And I do too. I see it as a permanent move. Trump's policies will not be reversed. Like, this genie is not going back into the bottle. Washington brings market power and energy dominance. Beijing brings manufacturing scale and gold-backed settlement systems. And for the first time in modern history, central banks now hold more gold than U.S. treasuries. Meanwhile, back home, America's fiscal picture is terrible. It's terribly grim. I know the MAGA guys can spin it any way they want, but the national debt just hit $37.6 trillion, on its way to 38. Interest payments have crossed $1 trillion a year, more than our entire defense budget. Projections show debt to GDP climbing to 102.2% by late 2026. That's terrible. That's how unsustainable this system has become. This is an economic system that's facing collapse. There's really no other way to see it. I don't know how you see it any other way. The government shutdown drags on right now. Courts are blocking layoffs. The Supreme Court's operations are scaled back. The Supreme Court closed public access. Funding shortages are threatening court delays across the country. These hurdles, which are a judicial overreach, hamper Trump's agenda right now, echoing sort of a Nixon-era tactics under the 1976 National Emergencies Act. The deep state is fighting Trump's reforms tooth and nail. We learned this week, by the way, that George Soros is once again funding these protests in Portland and Chicago. And all the ones you saw in Washington, D.C., 200,000 people in Washington, D.C., oh yeah. They just came out organically all on their own. Yeah, right. Sure. So yes, the next 12 days are going to be unforgettable. Trump's MAGA movement, Xi Jinping's Chinese Communist Party are staring each other down at the same moment this dollar system is cracking. Trump knows this. This is like his Hail Mary moment here. What Trump and China do next will forever change this country, in my opinion. So that's the news update part of today's video.